bench, and what we put up like 49, 50 points from the bench tonight.
Let's take a look at that. 49 points off of the bench for Auburn, 49-37 in favor of Auburn bench points, bench scoring.
Yeah, man. Trey Donaldson, electric. When CBM gets going, I'm not backing off of this. I think he's one of the biggest portal pickups in the country. And this team, the defense is absolutely suffocating, and we know what it takes to win in March. And you saw that tonight, holding LSU. Their best guy. I think there was a stretch where he didn't score from like the 16-minute mark in the first half.
Yeah.
That's big time. And like Dustin was mentioning about that run in the second half, there was some shots there. We just weren't hitting them. It kind of felt like we got a little too showboaty there for a minute, where we just started playing a little bit like trying to put a little mustard on the corn dog. But they reeled it in. They reeled it in, and I'm proud of them, man. And I want to give a shout out, man. My boys Trent and Jake, first time in here on the post game, and I sent them the link and everything. So hopefully they're enjoying it.
Absolutely. Hopefully Trent and Jake jump in here and say something in the comments to let your boy Blake know that you're here. Let's continue down this because you talked about Chad Baker-Mazara. He was the leading scorer tonight with 19 points, 5 of 10 shooting, 3 of 4 from the free throw. 6 of 6 from the free throw line, 3 of 4 from 3 tonight for Chad Baker-Mazara. On top of that, he added another 2 rebounds, 3 assists, and just had himself a game tonight. He was one of the igniters, the ignition points off of the bench for that wonderful bench scoring that we had tonight. He added that additional block down at the end. 6 steals for Chad Baker-Mazara tonight. He and Dylan Cardwell off the bench from a defensive standpoint. I'm sure LSU offensive players are going to have nightmares of watching Dylan Cardwell be everywhere on the court. Chad Baker-Mazara coming out of nowhere to make plays. They were menacing. A little bit more about Chad Baker-Mazara tonight. This was, I think, just one of those games where you say to yourself, that guy's coming off of your bench.
Yep.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, for sure.
How do you have that coming off of the bench? 19 coming off of the bench is just amazing. He played 28 total minutes. He had the most minutes of anybody tonight. Again, you can't say enough about just a guy who he doesn't need starting. He doesn't need to be in the starting lineup to feel as if he's valued on this team, and he proved his worth tonight.
I wanted to go back to that play in the first half where he forced the turnover. The ball gets kicked to KD, and then KD
turns and kicks it back to him in the corner. Yeah.
Last year he would have shot that basketball.
Yeah.
Last year he would have shot it, and he kicked it to CBM, and CBM. I mean, he made it happen. So. Dude, CBM, I think his defense leads to offense for him.
Yeah.
And he's just so electric on the defensive end, man. Always diving for loose balls, making it happen, moving his feet. I feel like at the beginning of the year, there was some times where he would foul when he didn't need to.
Yeah.
And I feel like he's just continuously getting better of, not swiping, using his hands, man. And, this basketball team is unreal. I like I said the other night, I think it could be Elite 8.
Yeah, I mean, listen, when you're a team that watches your lead dwindle from the 20s all the way down to, like, I think it got close as 8 points at one point in time.
Yeah.
And you just really kind of, and that's, I hear you go, both of you talking about, hey, man, maybe Bruce take a timeout. He just trusts his guys. He's like, listen, man, you guys are good enough. Go play basketball. Stop being stupid and go play basketball. I'm not taking a timeout. You're going to go out here. You got yourself in this hole out here playing stupid. Calm down and go play basketball. And that's what they did. They just went out there and they're like, all right, cool. The one that comes to mind is they get out there in the transition and you get Trey Donaldson, with the and one bucket. And it was like, that was just, I think when he made that bucket, that was kind of like okay, we're good. Right, we're fine. He gets the bucket. He gets the free throw. But yeah, no, Bruce has always been a guy. He's like, yeah, I'm not calling the timeout. Like that, even when I don't feel like he had a team that probably should have had that kind of confidence, he has his confidence in his guys to kind of just let them go out there and play ball. And he rewarded that confidence. They rewarded his confidence with coming out and figuring out a way to go out and get gritty and still push this out to a comfortable win. It's not going to feel as good looking at it, right now. But listen, when you go back and you tally it up, it's still a double-digit win in the SEC to push you out to 3. And like you said, Dustin, it's hard to complain when you're 3-0 in the conference and you get a double-digit win.
Yeah, I thought too, LSU was up there 12-11 early, and then you make the change there with 15 minutes to go in the first half. In comes the second unit, and all of a sudden the lead jumps. And we've seen that time and time again. So I'm not like trying to advocate and say that it should change. I like what Bruce is doing.
Yeah.
But it's just it just speaks to the depth, man, and all those guys like Dylan. This Dylan Cardwell is how you win games in March, bro. It really is, because we talked about last time like this. Shout out to Janai again for avoiding foul trouble in some of these physical SEC games. He's done a great job of it this year. Great job again tonight. But whenever that happens, dude, I have no problem with it got to a point really where defensively on that run and at the beginning of the game too, they were penetrating. They were getting to the hole
Dylan
early.
Cardwell was the better center tonight.
That's what I'm saying, man. He
came
in and held it down.
Janai was getting worked for a minute. Dylan had everybody in the hurt locker tonight. Listen, the stat line's not going to show how amazing an impact he had on this game. 5 points, only 1 of 2 from the field, but he made 3 of 4 free throws in this game. 6 rebounds, 3 assists, 4 blocked shots, and a steal. That's just impacting the game in a lot. Again, you're not going to see, and that's only in 18 minutes. Like, you feel like he played way more minutes, 18 minutes of basketball, but those are the most quality 18 minutes I think I've seen a player put together. It was really great to see Dylan Cardwell seeming to be everywhere out there on the floor.
I felt like some of them fouls were a little soft as well.
Yeah, he did that whistle for some stupid stuff. Where it's like, that's not really a foul, bro. What are we doing?
Yeah, I felt like it was a little soft, man. But probably the biggest piece of this basketball team, the improvement that he's made at the charity stripe. Dude, I mean, he's a leader. I mean, you see him every time. There's positivity. He's hyping up Neville Arena. You can't say enough about him. He's that guy, man. And it felt like tonight, every time he come into the game, Auburn hit a run. The juices started flowing a little bit more. The offense seemed to click. He's that dude.
Yeah, he's absolutely a guy that when he comes in the game, the energy of the entire team changes just because he kind of brings that with him. We're going to get over here to the comment section and we'll continue our conversation. Auburn takes down LSU on Saturday night, 93-78. A great win. We'll start here with Cleveland Brown, who jumps in and says, that late run by LSU had me sweating, but they still got it done. War damn Eagle. Everybody was a little nervous, like what is happening right now? But what's crazy is LSU was closing the lead, but I never felt like Auburn was going to lose this game. Like, it felt like it was going to be way closer than it should have been, and we were going to get the win. But I never felt like Auburn was going to lose. It just felt like, man, you guys had a chance to make this like a 30-point situation. It's going to end up being like under 10. And they still went and got doubled. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like one of those where this is a really good basketball team. Like, they can take portions of games off and still beat you by double digits. That's a really good basketball team. Ant Robinson jumps in. Congrats to Texas A&M for beating UK and showing their weaknesses. I didn't watch that game. Did either of you guys actually watch that basketball game?
I called like the last 7 minutes and then the overtime portion. So I didn't watch enough to really like give a good analysis of it. But I would say that with Buzz Williams, man, there's several examples of him at Texas A&M where they start pretty slow in the non-conference and the beginning of SEC play, and they crank it up, and all of a sudden it comes time for the SEC tournament, and it's the team that you don't want to play. So not surprised at all. And they're going to be a team that's extremely hard to beat in College Station, the way that he plays defense and the way that they bring the juice.
They can ratchet up the defense at any point in time and start to make life very miserable for you. They crash the boards like nobody's business. And so they play probably the most frustrating brand of basketball. Tennessee might be the only other team that plays a brand of basketball outside of Auburn, because Auburn frustrates the crap out of everybody. But Tennessee and Texas A&M, the brand of basketball they play, which is we're going to be physical on defense, We're going to crash the boards relentlessly where you feel like, oh, man, we had a good defensive possession. Then they get an offensive rebound. You're like, crap, man. Like, it's so frustrating playing those basketball teams. And you've got to have enough. Like, it's just one of those games where you just kind of have to have enough in you to stand all the body blows. And if you can withstand the body blows, you're fine. But if they start chopping you down with the midsection shots, man, that knockout blow is coming. And it's gonna sting the next day playing Texas A&M.
Ike, I'll tell you one thing that I loved watching today, and that was Georgia absolutely gag a lead away against Tennessee.
Oh, I did watch that game,
Yeah.
and Dalton Connect he's a real deal scorer. He's one of those kids that doesn't shy away from the moment. He'll step up and he'll make big shots for that team. It feels almost like him or bust offensively for them down the stretch sometimes. So, it's going to be interesting to see how people play him defensively as he gets into some of the better defensive teams. I don't think Georgia really qualifies as a better defensive team or against a team that can score a little bit more dynamically throughout a game as opposed to in spurts like Georgia does. But notice the difference between those two basketball teams and how that happened. Auburn is up by 20 plus, and the lead gets shrunk down, but Auburn just pushes it right back out. Conversely, Georgia's up by 20 plus, and Tennessee just chops away and eventually wins the game. Yep. And you're just like, you look up and you're like, what the heck just happened? That was almost our story, except better basketball team. And again, it was at home for Georgia. It was a home game for Georgia, and they absolutely just fumbled it. I did watch that game. It's very interesting to see how bad they looked in the second half of that game. P-Pass jumps in, says LSU got nuclear hot for 5 minutes, still lost by 15. That is the brass tacks of it. What is the kid's name that hit like 3 threes out there? He just went crazy for a minute.
I think it says 50 of his 82 field goals coming into the game were threes.
3-pointers. Man, this kid, he hit 4 threes on the game, 12 total points, but he hit 3 during a stretch there where it was just like, bro, what are you on right now? Like, what is happening?
Like a minute and a half. It was bang, bang, bang.
That Hannibal kid was like, he was cooking us in the second half.
Yeah. He was like a bulldozer down there. Speaking of bulldozers, though, man, I think we might have you talk about the Jack boys on the football team where you've got like these DBs that are just amazing, that are covering the back. Trey Donaldson and KD Johnson could be a defensive. I mean, of course, Trey Donaldson, he played.
He
football,
is a Jack boy.
But literally, I think both of those kids could go start at safety for they are terrorists back there, just making it hard for they make it difficult for you to get into your stuff. They're in the passing lane consistently, off the ball, coming and steal. Like, it is crazy how much these guys notice we have made pretty big overtures about 4 guys, all 4 of them bench players. Not a single one of them starters for this team. KD Johnson, Trey Donaldson, Dylan Cardwell, Chad Baker-Mazara, all coming off of your bench. And you're just like, man, those guys could start anywhere around the country.
Yep.
And they're coming off of your bench. Amazing stuff. This is a well put together team.
By the end of the season, I think that I understand what Bruce is doing with CMO there at the 3, but at some point I feel like you might go the route where CBM starts, and if we get down the stretch in some of these more crucial games, I do think that these minutes. I still think we're going to try. I know that Bruce likes the depth. I know he likes hitting people like the way we're doing with the waves. But I do think you'll see some of these minutes shrink up a little bit. Like, I don't want to be hard on him, but those minutes that Lior's been getting, however short they are, those could be going to CBM, bro.
Lior just doesn't. If you're not going to make shots, there's no reason for
I
you
think
to be
that's
out
the
there.
frustrating thing about Lior is I love his energy, I love his effort.
Yeah.
But when he's getting open looks so far this season, it hasn't been pretty. Like, he's missing badly on some of these. And it's like, dude, this is your thing. Like, that's what this is what allows you to get minutes is we're going to be able to swing it to you for an open look, and you're going to make them pay for sagging off of you on the – and he has not made teams regret leaving him open yet this year in any significant portion of the game, right? Like late game or something like that. But yeah, it's been a little disappointing for Leor so far. Hopefully he can find it. The one turnover he had was probably one of the worst turnovers of the game. Yeah, it was just like, what are we doing, bro? You dribbled the ball into no man's land, then turned and fired it. I was just like, yo, that was bad. That was, yeah.
Didn't see him again, so.
AU alum 94 says Baker exposed Janai a bit defensively. Got to pick it up. CBM is a beast. I don't know about exposed, but he did show that he's a good, like, that's a classic old school big right there. Yeah, who nice, he's got all of the good footwork, back to the basket moves. He's like 7'4". Like let's not pretend like he's he's a big kid and he's out there playing using his length the correct way, pause. But I love what he's doing out there, and they found themselves a good post player that's going to give you kind of gritty. I'd enjoy seeing a matchup between them and a team like Purdue that has another really classic, just kind of lengthy big out there, and see how that works. But yeah, he did have Janai in the spin cycle a couple of times out there, but good game for him.
We stay on Janai's neck though a lot, especially.
I mean, for a kid who scored 18 in the game, had 7 rebounds, 3 steals, and a block shot, right? Like, I mean,
hey, he made both his free throws too within the final 2 minutes. I know,
Yeah, shoot 5 of 6 from the free throw line tonight. 1 of 1 from 3, right? Like, it's like I get it. Like, you want him to be this like dominant force the entire game, but I mean, he just another 18-point game, just quietly giving you buckets every now and then to keep you in. Listen, I get it. He did have some times where it's like, man, that dude is killing you down there. But it's like it's not like he didn't have 18 on 6 of 12 shooting. So he shot 50% from the field. The 1 3-pointer he took, he made, and he only missed 1 free throw. Like, you'll take that game from Janai Broome every night.
Yeah, Baker's a nice player.
And you got a Dylan Cardwell coming behind him this year that's much improved. So
yeah. And as I said, it's not as if the kid who he's playing against is a scrub. Just because a lot of people didn't know his name coming into the game doesn't mean he's not a good player. Steve Bradley jumps in and says, got too relaxed and lined up. The lineup change was obvious. Yeah, I think. Let's detour and talk a little bit about Aiden Holloway and what he's giving you. Now, 13 points tonight, 5 of 13, 3 of 10 though from the field. 5 of 13 from the field, 3 of 10 from 3 tonight. Took 10 3-pointers, only made 3 of them. The only thing, and we talked about this a little bit for Aiden, I think is it's shot selection. Like I think he's a little too in love with his ability to shoot the 3. And he's not, like, when he went to the medium range shot, he hit it, right? He's getting to the lane and he's making the tough, lay in traffic. He needs to trust his ability to make 2s, I think, a little bit more, because I think he trusts his 3-point shot a little too much. And it's not that even that they're bad looks all the time. It's just sometimes if you're not making it, you need to figure out another way to get yourself in there offensively. What you think about the game, though, from Aiden Holloway tonight?
Yeah, just this shot selection, like we talked about, and it's really everything we talked about after the last post game. Like, it's the same stuff. Like, just your 3 attempts shooting from 3. So at some point, get underneath and hit that mid-range shot, get to the basket, get to the free throw line, make some bunnies, which we kind of struggled at the rim a little bit tonight. But again, Baker's a big guy. So just finish at the hoop a little bit. The mid-range is there for you. Like you just said, he has the ability to hit it. And then when you see that, when you go 2 for 2 from the line and you see those free throws falling, or you hit a mid-range shot, you hit a tough one at the basket, it'll get you going. You're just settling for shots that are bad shots. And there in the second half, the ones that he settled for were low on the shot clock. You're dribbling the ball out. We take a bad shot. Then they get the rebound, and then they come down and hit a 3. And it's like, man, we're playing at their pace.
Right.
So, but he's a freshman, and they're not all going to be Jabari Smiths, right? Like, he's going to be back next year. I know people think that I've seen stuff before the season where he's going to be one and done and all that. I think we're seeing now it's going to be best for him to probably come back and develop his game another year to get ready for the pro level. But
let's be clear: if he returns, like, doesn't transfer any of that kind of stuff, and you got that kid Tahad Pettifor coming in as well, and Trey Donaldson coming back for another. If you have those 3 guys, because KD Johnson is done after this season. If you have those 3 kids coming back and being in your backcourt next year, now front court we got some work to do because we're losing Janai, we're losing Jay Will, we're losing a lot in the front court. I like the effort and energy from Chaney Johnson, but he still's got some refinement that he's got to do.
Mm-hmm.
Is Chad Mazar got another year? Good grief, man! Like
I believe
he comes
so.
back if he
I
doesn't,
believe so,
but, man. But like this team's backcourt could be crazy next year. I don't want to look too far ahead, but like that's a crazy backcourt coming back next year if you have that happening.
You'd slide Aiden to the 2, right?
Yeah, probably. Probably would slide Aiden to the 2 and start Trey and Aiden, and then have Tahad coming off of the bench. Because that way you don't have to have the ball in Aiden's hands primarily, but you have another secondary ball handler that can really shoot off of the spot up. That's nice, man.
That's one of the biggest things with Aiden, in my opinion, is Dustin said it when the ones that are late in the shot clock that he dribbles down, he calls the screen, and then once he gets around the screen, he's off the dribble and he lets it fly from the logo.
Yeah.
And those are low percentage shots.
Right.
And like you said, I think he falls in love with it a little bit too much. And, I want to see, like, that's why I'm so high on Chad Baker Mazar, is because I watch him use the pump fake. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Ball fake, bang, 2 dribbles, pull up, mid range, buckets. Use more of that. Use more of that. And like Dustin said, once you see it go in, then shoot the 3. But Auburn, we're not a great 3-point shooting team. And there's stretches in the game where we take low percentage shots. Mm-hmm. And we got to fix that.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the frustrating portion of what you saw in that offensive, nothing burger that we put out there in the middle of the second half was a lot of the shots were bad shots. Now, we missed some very makeable shots as well, but when you sprinkle in makeable shots that you miss with a bunch of bad shots, you get a huge run for the other team, especially, again, when they could throw it into the ocean and it's like they're not missing anything. Like they did not seem like they could miss during that stretch, and they played some good defense during that stretch as well. I want to credit LSU for the things they did right during that stretch, but Auburn did a lot of wrong in there, and it made it look a lot worse than it should have been. Let's get some more chats in here. Jonathan Boyson, who says, hit it twice. Pearl got a good teaching moment from this game, but we dominated for the most of it. Yep, I agree. This is one of those games that you like as a coach, where you get a comfortable win, but you still get to yell in the locker room. Like you still get to tell your team, you guys ain't ish, but like we still got stuff we got to do. Look at this crap right here, right? And you've got a team that's undefeated in the conference, but you still get to scream at them so that you can keep them humble. That you will take those wins all day as a coach, just as long as the team can actually learn the lessons and not feel like they can just flip the switch whenever they want to, because that's actually the danger that you're in right now, where you feel as if we're good, coach, like we can just turn it on whenever we want to, and you see what happened. Keeping a team that's been able to do that so far focused, this is going to be the coaching job of Bruce Pearl's career right here, to have a team not get complacent with their ability to just turn it on and off whenever they want to.
Yeah.
The Walker Show jumps in. When Auburn went to the half court, LSU went to hitting threes like it was planned. Well, if that was the plan, I don't like that plan. AU in the USMC says, I love watching this team play. They love each other and love to play together. Hashtag Final Four. I'd love to see a Final Four out of this team. One of the best moments, I think, for me with watching any basketball team is them seeing a guy who doesn't get a lot of points, doesn't get a lot of minutes, but when they make a bucket, everybody's super happy for him. The breakaway layup that Chaney Johnson had, where he really got fouled on it. Let's be clear. But when he made that and they had to go to a timeout, the bench went crazy for Chaney.
They did.
And that's the kind of camaraderie you love to see, where it's like, it really is like they don't care who contributes. Let's go out there and beat the crap out of every single team that we play. And I love seeing that.
Yeah, and one thing me and Blake were actually just talking about this the other day, and like about the year that we've been doing the podcast thing. And the one thing I've learned, man, is that like this team chemistry stuff is real. And I always knew it watching sports, growing up playing sports. But man, you can tell when a team is together and you can tell when a team is not. There's a reason why Auburn went 6-7 on the football field this year. This basketball team likes playing together. You can tell that they all want to be together. You can compare this team to last year. It's a direct correlation when you look at how good we are assist to turnover ratio, how good we are at sharing the ball. And the way that this team likes being around each other and likes playing, they're unselfish. They want to see each other shine. That combined with everything that we have as an actual basketball team, the stuff that, the substance of it, this team can make a deep, deep run. That is not a point that needs to be overlooked about that. That is something that makes this team really dangerous, man. They like playing together and they want to be successful together. They're unselfish.
You think CBM and KD are pretty close? Because it looks like it on the court.
Yes,
yeah. They look like they like, I don't know if they're roommates or what, man, but they absolutely look like they have a bond. And I mean, they're very similar in their temperament on the court, right? Like they're really energetic and they like to kind of antagonize the other team. And but man, when they are in the game together, you can just see it's almost as if like they're like looking at each other like, you guys. You see those like dominant defensive ends, right? Where it's like basically meet me at the quarterback type of moments where it's like, okay, who's going to get the sack first, right? But I'm going to be happy for whoever gets it. But like they're out there and it's a feeding frenzy when they get into the game because they're all trying to make the play and change the momentum or do the little thing that makes it absolutely hellacious. The one moment that I loved in this game was, I mean, it was a dumb pass, but the one that where Chad Baker-Mazar intercepts the inbounds pass as they're throwing it trying to throw it in to the backcourt, and it's just those moments like you see KD do that all the time. It's like they're hoping you throw one of those trying to lob it over the top situations, and they're just back there waiting on you to make a dumb mistake, and they're absolutely ready to capitalize on it. Down there at the end of the game where Chad got that late steal where they're trying to inbound and he come like they thought they got away because KD went and he secures one guy and the guy turns and he throws it to the guy coming down the middle and then Chad comes and knocks it away. It's just like you can't relax with those guys in the game because they will figure out a way to get the ball away from you. I love it. Love seeing every minute of it.
All right, can I say something about KD real quick?
Absolutely.
I just want to say that I mentioned the assist to CBM a while ago, and I know he didn't fill it up on the stat sheet tonight. I know he didn't have a 20-point game or whatever, but controlled KD is the best KD, man. Yeah. And the growth from last year to this year, it's one of the best things I've seen in college basketball. I just feel like he's more of a team guy now, and I think it shows in the locker room too. And I could be wrong about that, but I just feel like he's more of a team leader this year, and you're seeing it on the court. Him dishing the ball, some of those shots, man, out on the wing when he gets that ball. Last year, he ball fakes and then lets it fly. Right. This year, he's passing the ball, man. He's finding the open guy. I think that has a lot to do with Auburn's success and him just not driving to the lane and throwing up, a wild, crazy layup. I know he did it tonight one time, and I kind of got frustrated, but I just feel like his growth, man, is a big part of this team's success.
Yeah, no, he absolutely. He's a senior on this team, and he plays with the poise of a senior. The guys on the broadcast actually mentioned this. He's like, actually, I don't remember which game I was watching. I watched a couple of games, but one of the things that I heard somebody on one of the broadcasts say is the biggest jump any basketball team can make, or he said how you can make a big leap in college basketball is by upgrading your guard play. And listen, and this is going to sound like I'm throwing a shot at those guys from last year, and it absolutely is not, because I loved what Wendell Green provided for this team. I loved what all of those guys played a part in that team last year, gave us. But the guard play is significantly better this year. It just is, right? Like KD elevated himself. Trey Donaldson continued to get better year over year. But, and as good a defensive player as Zep Jasper is, he didn't give you any consistency with offense on the court. You're getting offensive good minutes from Aiden Holloway, and he's still got growth, but you're
Yep.
getting good minutes from him. So you're really getting a lot of what you got last year from Wendell from Aiden right now,
Yep.
as far as just the ability to shoot it from the outside. He plays with very good pace. Like, though he doesn't take the best shots in the world, he doesn't ever feel like he's in a rush or panicked. So he's playing really good pace wise in that regard. And then again, it's not going to show up on the stat sheet, but man, and I'm trying to look at what his stats were for today. Only had 4 points today. I think Denver Jones was locking up tonight, man. Like, he
Yes.
was out there defensively, and it was just like, yo, this is one of the best. I was loving minutes that Denver gave you. He had 4 points tonight, but I love the minutes that he gave you. In 19 minutes, only 4 points, but 2 assists. Again, stat sheet's not going to show it, but golly, man, I love the minutes that he gave you tonight. I'm wishing he could hit a couple more, but he only took 5 shots. So it's not as if he's just chunking it up and not like, I love the minutes you got. So I think our guard play got better this year, and that makes this team really dangerous because you already have one of the best front courts in the country with Janai Broome, Jalen Williams, and then you got freaking Dylan Cardwell. Like, again, just waves of front court players coming off the bench. It's a good team, man. I struggle not to like just go nuclear and be like, yo, how do you like? But God, they're good. They're a good basketball team, man. And I'm looking forward to seeing them play the Kentuckys, Tennessees of this conference and see how they stack up against some of the teams that everybody thinks like they've already penciled them into the Elite Eight over there. So it's like, let's see how we play against those guys, because first game of the season they didn't get dumped by Baylor, and everybody's saying Baylor's one of the best teams in the country, right? Like, why not Auburn?
Yeah,
I don't know.
We gave that game versus Baylor away.
Yeah,
and then same thing with App State. So yeah, I like this team, man. Like I said last time, this is a team that's going to built to make a deep run. Talk about Denver Jones on the defensive side. It's been a long time since we had a 6'4" guard that could defend.
Yeah,
been a long time, and that's going to pay off dividends when it comes time in March. So just really fired up for it, man. Big win. It's always great to beat LSU, bro. Never going to get tired of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Fellas, I went on a college basketball podcast before the season started, and they asked me, will Denver Jones lead the SEC in 3-point field goal percentage? And I said no. And to watch him, he struggled offensively and he struggled to find his shot. But to watch his growth on defense, man, and to watch a kid transfer in and accept his role on the basketball team. This team doesn't need Denver Jones to drop 20 and shoot 40% from 3. All right. He's accepted his role. And I always tell Dustin, when we talk, man, he just brought it up, a 6'4" guard. And you look back in history, man, what gets Auburn? It's guards. It's guards. Last year, I remember against Mississippi State, I think it was at State when they made that run on us, and we just couldn't defend their guards. And every time we got across half court, what did they do? Trap. And we couldn't step through the trap because of guard play. And so now just seeing things like that, and Denver locking folks up, guys. I'll tell you, anytime I have a conversation with my pops, it's we're talking about Phoenix. So
let's go.
My birthday's in March, so I'd love a trip to Phoenix, Arizona.
All right, listen. We got to figure it out. We got to figure out how to get out there if they make it all the way there, man. But a couple more comments here. Let's see. CM Pat says, we don't panic when teams come back resilient. That's the mark of a really good basketball team. Because listen, I think. Listen, let's be clear. Everything's school, yes, but Auburn's a football school, and it's football fans watching basketball a lot, and so you don't realize how much that like runs happen in basketball games. Like their teams are just gonna. Everybody's good, man. Like this is the one of the best conferences in America from a talent perspective. You've got athletes all over the floor. They all are on scholarship, just like your guys are. They're going to make a run at some point in time because they are good basketball players. Yep. If you are a good team, you just weather that storm and you come back and you're like, all right, that's enough. And you turn it back on and you do what this team did tonight. And so, yeah, you get panicky because you're just like, yo, this is not supposed to be happening, man. Like, what are we doing? There's what, but runs happen in basketball games. Don Cullen with the stat of the night that I love from Auburn, 40% from 3 tonight, 10 of 25. Now, again, that includes a lot of bad threes that they took, right? Like if you just take better shots, this percentage is probably 50 or 60%, right? If you only take the good threes that they did, they made most of the ones that you just want to be able to take. But golly, man, you're shooting 40% for three. You're going to beat a lot of basketball teams, man. You're going to beat a lot of teams shooting 40%. Now, they're not going to shoot 40% night in and night out, but this is a good showing from them from three tonight.
I'll say this real quick. If Auburn shoots 10 for 25 from three, have fun because you're in hell for 40 minutes. It's pure trouble for you. Yeah. So
that's not a statistic that you want to, when you look down at the stat sheet, I'm sure as Mike, the coach from LSU, if he's looking at the stat sheet, he's going to look at 10 from 25 and say, yeah, there's the ball game right there. You can't give up 10 threes to this Auburn team and expect to win unless they're shooting 40 of them, right? Like it's just not a good proposition. AU Alum 94 says, Aiden will be fine. He'll develop. Very young kid, coach him up, and he's a true talent. Let's just talk about coaching for a minute, right? Because Coach Bruce Pearl he talks about it. He coaches his point guards hard. There was a point in time where Trey Donaldson had the really bad turnover where he's trying to feed the ball to Janai over the top. It wasn't a good pass, wasn't a good decision, good look, none of that. And then on the opposite end, LSU gets the run out and they get the easy layup because Trey was playing a little bit too deep. And they, we get to the timeout and you see Bruce and Trey having this interaction where he's like, he is laying into Trey. And Trey is almost like, his whole demeanor is like, yeah, whatever. Like, I hear you, coach. And then it's like Bruce keeps yelling at him. And he said it last year. I don't know if you guys saw the press conference. He's like, man, I can't break this kid, right? Like that nothing breaks Trey's confidence. And he's like, I've tried to do everything I can to just kind of get him. And he doesn't budge on anything. He's just like, yep, I hear you. All right. He just walks off. And then Bruce basically smiles and he's like, okay, all right, Trey, just go. Because it's like he can't. Because Janai, last game he'll fuss at Janai and Janai will argue back and they'll have this whole moment. And then at the end, Bruce will just he'll give him one a little side hug or whatever. And like, all right, we're good and move on. Trey doesn't need. He's just like, all right, coach, whatever. Yep, I messed it up. You're right. Yep, I'm gonna go sit down over here now though. And just keeps moving. And he comes back in the game and goes makes a play. Like he just doesn't care. But the personality of Bruce Pearl and this team, talk about a little bit just the way that this coach, like what do you guys feel about just the way he coaches this team?
Go ahead, Blake.
I think he's tough on his guys, but he believes in his guys. Mm-hmm. And I think that they believe in him and he lets them play basketball. Yeah. And then when there needs to be coaching, there's coaching. And you see it bleeds into his players because I'll give you an example tonight. CBM made a mistake and he's walking back down the court. LSU's getting ready to inbound the ball and he looks up at Bruce and he kind of throws his hands up at Bruce and he's like, gotcha. Mm-hmm. And you can hear Bruce just getting after him. All right. And I feel like when I say it bleeds into the players on how tough Bruce is on this team, I was getting ready to watch LSU inbound the basketball on the baseline, and Katie Johnson is in a teaching moment, and he's sitting here and he's hollering at Dylan, and I can't remember who the other person was, and Katie's sitting here and he's like, get over here. I want you here, and all of this is going on, man. And it just screams to me that Bruce has coached these guys up. They're veterans now, and they're taking the younger guys and they're saying, hey, we're on the court. Yeah. Bruce is over here. He's done his job. Now we're going to teach you mid-game while we're in the middle of playing. Yeah. And it just shows that Bruce is he's top of the line when it comes to college basketball. And I know people have their opinions about him and everything like that, but he's one heck of a basketball coach, and what he's done for this university is top of the line. And I know the Louisville faithful. They want to start their little rumors again, but it ain't happening. I think he loves Auburn.
Bruce is going to retire from Auburn basketball if they're going to have to force him out at this point in time. Like, I don't think that the administration is going to let him get away. The culture of basketball is different with him here, so it's not as if he's going somewhere where fans don't show up consistently.
Right.
He's got no problem getting NIL funding for basketball right now. He's pretty much, I mean, he's not hitting on every single person he gets, but I mean, dang, man, like, you put this kind of roster together, you're just like, and he's adapting his style of play to his players better than I've seen most coaches around the country do. Like, last year and this year, night and day in the way that they approach basketball, just because he's like, I got different talent that can do different stuff. We'll switch it up. All right, we need to do this with this team. We're going to do this. But yeah, Dustin, jump in here. Bruce Pearl, what do you think about the coaching job he's done so far?
It was interesting in the offseason because, we knew at the end of last year this thing was probably going to get blown up, and we knew some guys were running out of eligibility, and we're going to see a lot of new faces this year. And it was interesting to watch the team being put together. And every interview I read or watched, Bruce would always say, yes, I'm trying to put together the best team on the court, but more so than ever before, I'm looking for guys that are going to get along and want to be around each other off the court.
Yeah.
And we're seeing that play out. That's why we're 14-2, 3-0 in the conference, and hopefully about to crack the top 10. And again, going to make a deep run if everything goes well. So it's he's just, like you said, the ability to adapt. But when you are, Dabo Swinney's an example in football, right, of a guy that is not adapting well.
Yeah.
The game switched up in collegiate athletics, right? It's got NIL, portal, everything switched up. And Bruce has been able to adapt. Here we are, new rules, new era, and Auburn's still winning games. And you see programs like LSU who are trying to rebuild, and yes, they got into some trouble and all that kind of stuff. And here we are doing our thing. You see Arkansas this year, don't think they put together a very good roster. It appears that way. Now, maybe they'll put it together.
What happened with Arkansas?
I don't. It's wild.
They got dog walked again today by Florida.
It's got to be chemistry issues at this point. It has to be chemistry issues. So I just think that Bruce did a good job, man, of that part as well, of putting together a squad of kids that want to play together, and then also the pieces fit. He had a good plan, and it's all falling into place.
Go ahead, Blake.
Are they talking about firing Muss?
I mean, Arkansas fans are absolutely saying it, but I don't think anybody in the administration, like, there's no way a guy that's been to the Elite Eight as many times as Musselman is, that you could fire him after a bad start to a season's not even over with. Like, Arkansas fans are so ridiculous, man.
Please do that.
They did have the same start last year in SEC play,
but I'm saying, look how they finished though.
Yeah.
So I'm just like, golly, man, y'all are ridiculous. But talking about the culture, because this is something I thought was interesting. We did the fireside with the basketball players. You guys can check that out right now on the channel. Janai Broom, Cheney Johnson, and Leora Berman were there at the fireside with myself, talking a little basketball about this season. And Janai said when he made his decision to come back, he was very involved in the process of basically he wanted to be there to help recruit guys for this team. And he wanted to, the thing that he liked the most about the guys that they brought in was what you said. They actually, like, their personalities meshed. So they enjoy hanging out with one another. They're not doing a bunch of extra foolish. Like, you talk to those guys, like, they don't like to go out and party. Like, they'll go have a good time. But for the most part, he's like, man, we be at the house playing video games, man. I ain't doing none of that extra stuff. They are basketball and chill. That's it. Their whole life. You talk to them, that's all. We basketball. And when basketball's done, I'm out the way. That's a team that can be focused when it's time to handle it. And I love the fact that Janai Broom was so instrumental in wanting to go out and say, I need this guy. This is the kind of player we want to try to get. This is who you said you want, Bruce. All right, cool. I'm going to be here, and I'll make sure that we close the deal with him. That's setting the right culture. And to your point about KD Johnson out there on the floor, now we have to play to a certain standard when we get out here on the court, and I'm not letting any of you guys get off not playing to the cultural standard that Bruce Pearl said that we need to come out here and do it. Because he said it doesn't work. You hear him talk about it all the time. How he asks his team to play doesn't work if you don't give the right effort and energy the entire time you're out there, and the players on the floor are holding everybody to that standard. Love to see it out there on the gridiron at some point in time soon.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, before we get out of here, just last thoughts, but you mentioned it already, Dustin. Is this team worthy of a top 10 ranking when the rankings come out next week? Dustin, you said yes earlier. You top 10. You think they're going to make it?
I mean, we should, looking at kind of the way the week played out, but at the same time, not because
Houston, I think, just lost, by the way.
Yeah, that's what everybody's saying in the chat.
Mm.
But at the same time, I don't care if they ever put a number next to our name, bro. I really don't give a damn what they think about us when it comes to basketball. We gonna hoop, and they can call us whatever they want to call us. We'll keep hooping. We'll keep winning. But we should be in the top 10.
Blake, what you think?
They're not going to do it. You know, 2 years ago, it killed them putting us number 1 2 years ago. It killed them. They tried not to.
Yeah.
They didn't want to, but Gonzaga, they got upended and everything. They don't want to put us in the top 10, but like Dustin said, you know what? I couldn't care less because we just got to keep winning.
Yep.
Take care of what Auburn needs to do. And keep this thing rolling, and we're going to lose games and we're going to lose close games on the road and all of that stuff. It's going to happen, man. Like Ike said, this conference is tough. It's deep. It's talented. And losses are going to happen, but it's how you respond to those losses. And when adversity hits you, it's how you respond to it. So this is a great basketball team. The run could just be like I said, the Phoenix, man, it could go far. So I'm excited about this basketball team, and shout out to Houston for dropping another one. It's amazing what happens when you get in a tough conference.
Yeah. Absolutely. Shots fired right there. All right. Well, we are going to get out of here, man. We appreciate you guys jumping in here with us. Got my guys, Blake and Dustin from the Up Tempo podcast. Guys, make sure that you go and support them over there at the Up Tempo pod. They are doing great work. All things Auburn. One of you guys want to talk about what you're doing over there before we get out of here?
Hey, 80 subs, baby. 80 subs away from 1,500. We're right there. So if you haven't, go over there and do that. We're booming right now, man. So be a part of the family. Come join us if you haven't. We'll be back Sunday, 3 p.m. We had so much football news to talk about. We weren't even able to get it all in last episode. So we got a lot
of things happening with the football team.
A lot of things going on, man. So come holler at us, Up Tempo Podcast, 3 p.m. tomorrow.
Absolutely. All right. Well, before y'all get out of here, make sure you share the video. We appreciate everybody. Actually, let me get the other one in here using at the War Report, at the Up Tempo Pod, hashtag LAUBTown for that. And then make sure that you're liking the video. Subscribe to both of these great Auburn content channels that we got out of here. And we will see you all tomorrow here on the War Report, 1 p.m. for the weekend tailgate. Talking more things going on with this Auburn football team. Talk a little bit more basketball. B. Will and Mike G and C-Dub will probably all be here. But until the next time, and as always, War Eagle, we're out.